Welcome back and congratulations on making it this far into the exercise. And I actually wanted to do something that might be a little bit disappointing because I want to change the data structure in this lesson. So the way that we did it, okay, it worked, but it's not actually ideal. I want to do it within a different way because when we look at this, we don't really have a lot of room to change things around. We're calling it by the name. So what happens if we rename this? We realize, oh, go to the gym, but we want to call it go to exercise or something like that. And then it becomes problematic because we're actually changing the name of the object and, well, you get the picture. Not great. So not to worry that we did get some good practice with this data object and it was a lot simpler. But in this exercise, we're going to transform this into a more versatile JSON format. And the idea for this lesson really is all about getting to practice JSON, becoming more familiar with it, and ultimately being able to better determine how to structure your data. So let's start out by creating, instead of an object, we're going to do an array. And we know that within an array, we've got multiple items that we can list there, so we can comma separate out all of these items. And we can also, so we've got different data types. We could do variables, we can do numbers, we could do objects. So let's try adding in some objects within the array. So basically, we've got the ability to do something like info, and this could be cut grass. So info could contain information on what this particular task is. Next, we can do another one, call it status. And let's give this one, so we're essentially going to track that exact same information that we tracked earlier, but we're going to make it look different. So there we go. So that's our first one there. And let's try it out and make sure that it's valid JSON, and it is, so great. We can move on and we can add another object. And we just need to comma separate out these objects. So we can add a whole bunch now. And don't worry, they will get structured and they will look really nice once we do the validate JSON. So here we've got our next item here that we had clean room. And now you can see that this is a lot more flexible. This format provides us a lot more flexibility. And if we had more info status, maybe we want to say how much time it's going to take or what a priority it is. And we can add in all of that information within the object now, because that's where objects are really super useful in JavaScript as well as in JSON, because they give us the ability to have that flexibility and update and add more information. But for now, let's just keep this simple. So make dinner. And let's check to make sure this is valid JSON, and congratulations, valid JSON. So go ahead, build this one out for yourself as well, and let's bring this into our JavaScript. So we saw earlier that, well, we could do our object like that, and let's console log that out. So we'll log out our data. So what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think this is going to work? And we're going to comment out the rest of this code because we are updating that as well. And that's one of the other things too. Whenever you update the way your data is structured, you've got to update how you're grabbing that data. And some of the stuff we can reuse, some of the JavaScript stuff, but some of the stuff we can't reuse. So great, it works well. So it is a JSON object, it's all valid, and as well we can pull that information back. And of course we can do things like data, and because this is an array, so we need to select whatever item from the array. So let's select the second one, and we know that arrays start with 0, so 1 is actually the second one, and let's get that info. So there we go. So we know we can retrieve that information back. But just as the last exercise, let's make this a little bit more complicated and get a little bit more practice on parsing it in as strings. So what we're gonna do is remove out the white space. Now, no, typically you wouldn't be doing this. This is more to get practice and get familiar with working with different ways that you might be pulling in that data. And now whenever we refresh it, we see we've got that string object again. And we know that we do have a solution, and we saw that in the last lesson as well, that we could turn that back into a usable data format. So go ahead, create this for yourself, and then transform it into a string. And I'm going to show you in the upcoming lesson, we're going to convert it back into a usable object, practicing JSON parsing of the data. And then we'll loop through it. We'll add the event listeners. We'll update the JSON values within the current object within that state. And then I've also got some pretty cool surprises coming up as well that we're going to do with this application. So all of that is still yet to come. So try this out for yourself. And next lesson, we're jumping into parsing it and making use of that data.